Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Axcess.
Do it live.
Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Axcess.
Welcome to a Hurrdat production of Wired Axcess podcast. I'm your host, DJ Kate Dub Omaha, and to my left, we brought back some of Iowa Western Community College JUCO ESports. Their assistant coach over here, Chase Mitchell, or some might know him as Kilk. But we also brought one of their players, someone who was not here last time, one from their Overwatch team, Charles Toland, right? And then, of course, to their left, I brought on someone that was at Mage 2023 with me from Game T Podcasts, Czar. Welcome to the show, fellas. Mage 2023 is done and over with. A lot put in. Your first experience at something like this. Go ahead and just start. What was your first reaction when you saw the stage and you saw what was going on beyond just playing the video game?
Well, it was pretty good. I expected no one to show up, and it was pretty cool seeing, at least 5 people showing up. Felt pretty good. Honestly, I was a lot less nervous than I thought, even though there was what, 12 schools?
For Overwatch, yeah, I think we ended up with 12 or 13.
It was pretty cool. As a solo queue Overwatch player, been solo queuing for I lost count. Just playing on a team just felt incredible, even if we lost.
Well, I mean, you played your own team, so like that adds a little bit of flavor. Up on, what would you say that screen is? 20 foot screen. Yeah.
It was
that's behind you. You got a few people out in the crowd, but you're representing a school, you're representing a team. What was that aspect of it? Because like you said, if you're so used to solo dolo, now you get the team aspect. How does that help? And did you feel like you guys grew from the tournament?
Yeah, a lot, definitely. Because a lot of the teams that kicked our, absolutely thrashed us, we kind of just sat back and learned like what's meta, what can we change, what are our weaknesses, obviously. Like Bellevue, for instance, they were the only team to ever have a Junker Queen on their team. Every other team just ran either just straight meta or just whatever they're good at, and it worked and it didn't work for a lot. But
I have to say, you said you getting your tail kicked. That was one match that I sat and watched, and I was really in awe. I don't get to play games like I used to because I've had a family of 6 and they're grown up, and just I wouldn't have been able to go to their activities had I really invested into games like I used to when I was younger. So seeing that aspect of it, of where you could tell the levels of it and to a certain point. Czar, what'd you think of the competition? And you obviously got to not only do some self-interviews, but you also got to just sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the show.
Yeah, for me, the greatest thing was I watch a lot of these competitions on YouTube through Smash and all that stuff. So actually being in the arena and seeing the stage, all the LEDs, it was incredible. It was just such a monumentous feeling. And I remember the competition you were talking about with that Overwatch match. It was kind of surreal because everyone was watching, everyone was kind of talking, and then all of a sudden everything just went quiet, like dead silent. And it was still a really good game, though. And like throughout the rest of the day, all of these competitions were just so good. The level of talent and skill from every school, you could see it, you could feel it. It was true gaming at its core.
Now, Chase, this is your second year with Mage that you've done it, yes, but your role has changed. How do you feel seeing your role change? And obviously now Iowa Western is going to be a huge contribution to Mage from here on out. That's going to change the role as well. What was your thoughts?
So in the first Mage, I was a panelist. I ran the women's and esports panel because at the time I owned the women's carball championship that I created the women's league throughout, North America and Europe. So being a panel host, going to now basically running the event, it was a big change for me personally. I do a lot of events online, and I've been to, multiple esports events and stuff like that. So I knew kind of the basics that I needed to put forward. Being able to work with the space-time strategy guys, the guys that were pushing all our buttons on the back and everything, is always always a positive too, because those guys are consummate professionals. You guys spoke to Ryan, I believe.
Yeah. And while you bring it up, I mean, we have Ryan here from Real Time Strategies. He's just going to talk a little bit about just kind of some of the craziness and the expectations that, you know, I mean, Czar asked a great question. He pointed it out. Here you go. Check it out.
All right, so you have been around to a lot of these events, from Axcess to Mage. What are some of the biggest oversights that can happen when running these events?
Yeah, that is a very good question. I think one of the toughest things we run into is just, you know, people not taking into consideration timelines. Yeah, I would say definitely timelines, making sure that people give you the space to provide the best product right now is one of the biggest difficulties. Mage is actually fantastic for that. We've been talking about Mage since February. So that was like perfect amount of time. We put together a killer event here because of it. So yeah.
Right on indeed.
All right. So Ryan tells us, you know, it's just the time management and trying to get all of the advertisers and everybody together on one page. Now
it's hard.
Now you went from panelists and now you're the contact for some of these, these trying to make sure this sponsor is ready and making sure, I mean, having that real-time strategies in the back of the house has to be that safety net, that feeling. I mean, we talked to Ryan, but we also just watched their actions. I mean, they were hands-on. They were constantly moving or constantly upstage, offstage. It wasn't like they're just hanging out, collecting a paycheck, as some might think.
Right, yeah. No, they put a lot of effort into that, and their breakdown times are hours long and setup times are hours long. So if people, when they come to these events, if they think that it's just, oh, these guys came in and put a few computers there and now they're telling us where to go, it's the stuff that goes into setting that up is a monumental task. I don't know, were you part of the setup crew that went over there early?
No,
I wasn't there for that one.
No, I wasn't. But a lot of the setup is a little bit more difficult. There's a lot less variables that go right. Because I remember we were having internet issues, especially for our second game.
Yeah. So
Ethernet cables were just not working properly, and we were trying to figure out why.
It wasn't that it wasn't working. What ended up happening is if enough people try to log into these games from a single IP address, which is the venue's IP address, if they fail those logins multiple times and multiple people do this, the hacking detection or whatever
starts to kick in.
And an IP bans you.
The whole place got banned, didn't it?
The whole place got banned from the Blizzard servers for Overwatch.
Oh.
And that only lasts for roughly a half hour. I don't know the exact time on it, but basically we had to chill for a half hour. Everybody
you could feel it though. You could feel it in probably just like players were up there ready to go.
Yeah.
And it sucks because you don't want to go, it's user error, but it is just no. And I think they also were very vocal of, I think someone might have been like, oh, I can't even log in. They're like, don't worry, we have a house account. Don't log in. Yes. And they still try to log in. And it's like, let these guys help you help them.
Correct. And that happened a few times at the event, actually. There was a few instances where I guess some of the players maybe felt awkward about raising their hand and being like, hey, my monitor's messed up. So they played with like a messed up pixel or something like that.
No.
And that's something that I just want to reiterate to players who are going to LAN events, who are going to play in these things. The people who are there to make sure that your experience is the best it can be. None of us want you playing on messed up monitors. We don't want you to have to deal with, a mouse that doesn't work sometimes. Like if that happens, just raise your hand and call it out. The Blizzard thing, we were able to, stop everybody because that timer restarts every time somebody hits
every time someone hits enter.
So we told them all, like, the easiest way to do it when that happens at these events is just everybody stand up, leave the computers. Walk away. And then if you're really worried about it, like you said, we had house accounts for them to play on, that we knew the logins to and everything. And then it all got running and, it was a good event. I think that happened to us twice that day. Unfortunately, one of the guys went up on stage. He was on a house account in the back. and then tried to log into his account and it immediately flagged us again.
Oh.
So we were chilling for another half hour, but that stuff happens in sports. And I'm sure the next time he goes to an event, he's not going to do that, right? He's going to understand.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up the equipment, Czar. I mean, you saw the equipment. You're a gamer. What was your thoughts? That was your first time seeing it. Like you said, in person, being able to, if you wanted to, you could go touch the computers. Obviously, we didn't. Yeah. But what was your thoughts of all the
Intel arcs there?
Yeah, no, it was incredible because you see like maybe 8 setups on the stage, but then you go behind the curtain and there's like 45 more computers, all the same. They've all got synced LED lights. They're all running at peak performance. It makes you melt as a gamer. You're just like, oh, it's so beautiful.
This is what you wanted back as a kid, like in your garage with your buddies hanging out with you. No, those Intel Arc computers were fantastic. That was my first experience with Intel Arc PCs.
Okay.
Well, they look pretty too.
Yeah, they look really good. So for those of you who don't know, Intel has started making their own integrated graphics cards. And so it's not just NVIDIA and AMD anymore. Intel is going into the graphics card business. And all the computers that were running at Mage that Spacetime brought with them were Intel Arc. And I didn't see a single issue on any of those. I don't know, when you were playing, was there anything?
Charles, what was your thoughts? I mean, obviously you guys have an awesome facility at Iowa Western that many schools would love to come hang out. What do you think of that setup that was there? Did you feel at home or did you feel like you were at a higher tier level?
Definitely a higher tier. I'm a console guy. I've been playing on Xbox since I was in diapers. Like
Xbox for life.
I think
that's right.
I think the only PC gaming experience I really have was using my school laptop to play Team Fortress 2. Okay. And then when I got here, like that was the only real PC I've ever played on. Definitely got to get used to, PC gaming.
But okay, so
PC
this adds a whole different element I didn't know. So obviously we got to talk with one of your teammates, Key Lime, and she's here just talking about what it takes to be a competitor at Overwatch and how the word addiction can come into that conversation. Check it out.
How many hours a week do you feel like you need to practice Overwatch in order to stay in the competitive space?
So I'm going to confess a little here. I'm actually addicted to this game. And during the winter when I couldn't play, I think I suffered like a withdrawal from not being able to play Overwatch constantly. I play this game so much, like every night, at least 3 times or 4 times a week. It's got to be happening. I need Overwatch. Like, I'm actually addicted. It's concerning.
You could have just said all of them.
Yeah.
How many hours does it take to be good? You could have just said yes. All. Yes. That's right.
Remember,
it doesn't matter how many hours somebody puts into the game, I guess, in order to it depends how you're using that time. If you're using that time in Overwatch to actually actively practice those skills that you need to work on, then that's going to be useful time. But if you're using that time to just mess around, then it doesn't matter how many hours you put in.
Gotcha.
All right. So she says, in order to really excel at what you do, you got to be addicted to it. Some people can call it a bad addiction. But when you look at gaming just in general, if you're an all Xbox and you go to one of these, how do you adjust, or what can they do to prepare themselves? Because is it always PC at these, or is it by choice?
That depends on the game. So with Overwatch, it's always going to be PC. The thing is that the PC rigs have higher frames per second.
Okay.
So I think the new age consoles, and you can correct me on this, I think they're at 120.
Yeah, they're about 120.
Okay, so before the new age consoles, and I'm talking like PS5 and the new Xbox, before they came out, we were frame capped on consoles at 60 frames per second. And on your PC, you really want to get, upwards to that 144. That's what you want to see. Beyond that, we're talking super gamers, but but then there's games, I guess there's games like Halo, for instance. When I went to HCS Kansas City, if you were on stage or you were playing in those brackets, those were PCs. But if you were going through pools and you were trying to make it through the open, you're playing on Xboxes. So it was a little weird seeing that, but that's a Halo thing, right? That's completely different. Or for Smash, for example, everybody's playing on Switches.
It's the only place you can play.
Yeah, it's the only place. So it's really just depends on the game, but for the most part, it's all being done on PCs.
I do have a question about that though. So everything's on PC. Are game pads allowed?
Using your controllers and stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. You play Rocket. Most people play Rocket League on controller. You could play Overwatch, right, on the PC with a controller.
Yeah, but it's like
I don't know why you would.
Yeah,
I was gonna say as you're growing and learning, what do you feel like? Do you feel like you can integrate both, or it just isn't worth the time to?
No, I mean like instantly move to like keyboard and mouse, because when I play Roadhog on console, it's it's fine, but like on PC I can literally snap hook anytime I want. Like it's so much easier.
When you're pressing your buttons, you're trying to look left or right. On a controller, you can only move so fast. Even if you have it maxed out, like your character can only move so quickly. But like he was talking about, if you're on PC, you're just throwing the mouse to the left and your character's spinning around doing a 180.
Certain games have like auto aim for controller players.
Apex, yeah.
I was going to say Apex and Destiny. Those are the games that people prefer controllers on in any scenario because of the auto aim and just how the game just works. But on Overwatch, always mouse.
So then now
Apex is interesting.
When you're at practice, is it all keyboard and mouse for you from here on out?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, Apex is one of those that he was talking about where they have keyboard and mouse players and they have controller players at the highest levels. I'm going to shout out KCP for top 8 at Worlds at ALGS this past weekend. Congratulations, Nasky and the boys. High five. But we see that in Apex a lot. Like right there, the best players out there now are controller players, and it's because of the auto aim. What developers are doing is they're building auto aim into these shooters to counteract how good you can be with mouse and keyboard. They want controller players to have a shot, right?
I gotcha.
Sometimes it gets overtuned, and you have situations like in Apex. I believe I could be wrong on this, but there is no auto aim on the controller if you have a scope of higher than 2x. So you can't have auto aim on a sniper, right? That's awkward, right? It's a little weird. But at a pro level, most of the Apex fights end with us standing in front of each other, just blasting away. And if you're on a controller and you're just toggling the auto aim going back and forth, you're just going to slam those dudes on mouse and keyboard. They don't have a shot.
I gotcha.
So some of them are transitioning. Like on our professional team at KCP, we have, I believe, 2 mouse and keyboard players. And then our controller player is Zane, and he's
for that. Then there is nothing but voice talking, right? Because you can't use if you have the controller. There's for sure no keyboard to try to chat or nothing.
Oh, they're all going to be in Discord in an open
Okay, that's what I thought. It was all open with voice. Well, the best part about having Charles here is one, we shared or tried to share a little bit of his story and him being up there. What I really love,
fantastic interview.
I know, man. It's all mute. It's just the best. But anyways,
we should show them the meme you made out of it, you and your buddy. That was great.
Oh boy, I gotta watch this.
It was good. It was funny.
But the best part is Charles gets to be a dual sport athlete at Iowa Western. He gets to play for the football team, which, if you know the Reavers, they are one of the top in the nation when it comes to JUCO college champions this year again. But also getting to do the esports. Talk about that. And obviously, we greatly appreciate you also serving in the National Guard. That's an honor to have you on the show because that means a lot to me. One, that you're giving back to the country in the way that you're able to, but also enjoy a little bit of fun on the outside when it comes to college. What's that experience like?
It's incredible. I come from a military background, not family, but I was at a military school. I was medically separated because of football, but I still love it, so I'm still going to try it. I'm not dead yet, but my days are just packed full of stuff to do, and I get home to my dorm so tired I just go right to bed. It's always nice because when I wake up, I have a bunch of stuff to do. Every Wednesday, I wake up at 4:30. I go to my 5 a.m. team lift. Go to 7 a.m. practices, ends at 8:30 for me because I got to go to class. Classes end at like 3 o'clock usually, and then I got either esports or fun stuff to do like interviews, and then just homework, and then day starts again.
That's what he's not afraid of, the compact time schedule.
Yeah.
How is it just on the side of being able to do both and them to also respect and be able to give your time to both? It's not easy. It's choices that you have to make every day. One, like you said, being up at 4:30, but two, knowing that the night could end at 11 and I got to be right back up at that 4:30. What's that all about between the two sports?
Just looking forward to seeing everybody, like all my linebacker buddies on the football team. I love hanging out with them. They're all just riots, all of them. I love making them laugh. They make me laugh. During team lifts, we motivate each other. And then school starts. I love my teachers. I just talk to them all the time, get help. Schoolwork's easy when you ask for help. And then I go to esports where I get to play video games. I mean, to tell you the truth, when it comes to esports, I wish I was I did all this a bit earlier in Overwatch's lifespan, because I think I can speak for all tanks when I say the game's just not as fun as it used to be. After 5v5, it just kind of just dropped a bit of a tear for us, because every game you kind of just, I don't know, you're kind of just there.
Overwatch 1 was 6v6, and you could rock 2 tanks in a game. Yeah,
okay.
In Overwatch 2, they reduced that number to 5.
My podcast actually hit on this a lot, as all of the big changes from Overwatch 1 to 2. And like our synopsis of it was just, why isn't this DLC? Well, because they make these new game modes to justify the new game.
Right.
And also, we had this conversation on the way here. The meta in esports beyond a 5v5 just doesn't really happen, right? Overwatch was that game that had an extra player in it all the time. League of Legends, Dota 2, those are all 5v5. Halo now, Halo's 4s.
Yep.
Call of Duty is 4s. Like, I don't think there's another shooter out there that does 5v5 outside of Overwatch even.
None in the mainstream.
Right. So they're a bit of an outlier.
Well, and what took you to Overwatch of all the games that you could play? I mean, you could play sports games, you could play all the way to real light COD, but you're just deciding to choose like a game like Overwatch, where it's more of the animation is stronger in it, and it's, you know, quick, fast paced. What was the pull there for you? When
Overwatch was released, it was it was game of the year when it was released, like 2016. It's
huge.
It was new. It was incredible. During that year, there was like 5 clones that came out that instantly died because it tried to do what Overwatch did. It just, there was no other game like that competitively on Xbox or just even on PlayStation. And all my friends were buying it, and I was just like, yeah, I can try it. And then I fell in love with it because, you know, I could play Reinhardt, and then I can go to Zen. I loved all the characters. They're all fun. And then I didn't even care that it didn't have a story. I just loved playing it.
See, I'm more of the multiplayer. I like to have fun with 4 other people and do something, the 5 of us, instead of me just going through the story mode. That's just me personally. Zara, are you a story mode type guy, or does it depend on the game?
I don't usually play well with others. I like the single player story. I like my own pace, but you know, if it is a fun, casual game, I'll always jump into a game with a group of guys.
Nice.
Chase, obviously, you know, you're getting to see a whole different side of esports gaming. You've seen the national, you're dealing with the college level. You guys are a contact for some of the local colleges. And we were able to share some of the stories. When you hear stuff like Northwestern, they're a Catholic college, which is awesome, but they can't play under their team name on a Sunday. Esports is huge, where Saturday, Sunday, and maybe Sunday's a lot of your finals. That's where you want your
championship Sunday
championships to be. Sunday. How does that affect it? And do you think that any of these schools can get past that? I mean, I know Northwestern still had a team under someone's homies or something. They were there representing on Sunday, but they couldn't represent that college. And I think that just kind of peels away some of the drive to push esports out there as a possibility.
So I understand where those colleges are coming from. They don't want to have shooting games on their with their name on it, basically. It was a little confusing for me for Overwatch, mainly because Overwatch is E for everyone.
There's no there is a little blood, but it's not like,
but you have like a hamster rolling around in a ball chasing you, and like a giant monkey coming from the sky and stuff like that. So like, I don't know. But it's a very old school way.
They don't play sports or do. They think Sunday's all family, which it is.
Right. That's
awesome. And that's why they just don't want to interfere with that. And I think, you almost, as days get older, you almost have to adjust to what you're trying. These kids are getting a scholarship, they're there, trying to represent your school. Just because it's not a football that's a football Saturday, or a baseball that's normally Monday through Saturday, Yeah,
it's not like we're playing Gears of War, or Call of Duty. I understand the Call of Duty stuff as well, right? Because you're basically, Marines shooting each other.
Yeah,
that's a little awkward.
It's pretty realistic.
Or even like the CS:GO. KCP, we do a lot of work with the Army National Guard, actually. And one of the games that we can't use with them is CS:GO because they use the terms terrorist and counter-terrorist. And obviously the Army doesn't want their name on something where the game yells out, terrorists win.
Yeah.
That's awkward, right? But from the collegiate standpoint, I understand where they're coming from. They don't want to, promote the idea of violent video games, but it's also very old outlook. It's a very old understanding of games. Back in the day, there was a big push of violent video games made people violent, and that's just not true. There's enough research out there that anybody can go look up to show that it's just not true. And some of these colleges maybe just haven't gone down that path to look what it really does for students. The teamwork that it teaches them, the overcoming adversity, hard situations, split-second decisions. Like, these things don't just come naturally for people. You work at them, and it's hard.
Well, and it's almost like he was listening to this interview here. We had you guys' Associate Athletic Director, Ian, or as he's known as Haunter, the OG on Twitch.
Yeah, he's got
Check
the
this out. He
one.
talks about what esports does and how it does for Iowa Western Community College. To know that you guys at esports are gaining the same respect that you do for regular sports, how does that help? And how does it make it harder because it's still gaming to some people?
I mean, the pressure's on for sure, because part of me before I was the director of esports, but I was also the assistant athletic director. So I was around athletics. I was there all the time. And that was just the nature of it. And some of the rings that I'm wearing actually are the other sports that do great stuff. And I told my players there, I encourage you guys to be a part of them, or to support their programs, to be there, be a presence, because then they're going to support you on Twitch. They're not going to be in the arena cheering you on necessarily, but they're going to be in the chat hyping up. And then when you're going back and you're watching the lives and you see the chat happening, it's a good thing.
So obviously Ian talks about a lot of the similar stuff as how it builds teamwork, it builds the community, it builds he wants these players to go out and watch the football games, to watch the basketball games. So then all they have to do is click on their Twitch when you guys are promoting. How is that cross promoting going? And obviously you have a football player. Can he help the situation? Because I think, and Czar, you interview and you talk to a lot of gamers. Sometimes people are afraid to admit they're gamers when they're the big, tough football players.
It's so true.
But it's out there. And
There's
when
still
you
a little bit of a stigma around playing video games.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. All the football guys asked me about esports, and I said, I mean, we can do a Madden team. They all love the idea, but a lot of the football guys are just like, I don't have time for that, or they're gonna do their own thing.
They're worried that one of the esports kids is gonna slam them. It's really what it boils down to. I had a conversation with one of the football guys outside the CAF one day. One of the guys was like, "Hey, talk to this guy. He plays Madden. He's always trying to go after people on Madden." I talked to him. I was like, "Play Madden?" He's like, "Yeah, you want a game?" I was like, "Not me, but I got some guys that'll sit down with you any day of the week." And I haven't seen him show up yet, so.
Oh man, the door is open.
I was like, go talk to
is
Charles.
open.
He's on the team. He'll get you in touch with some of these guys. And they were like, all right, sounds good. And they still haven't shown up yet. So
well, I'm glad you brought that up, Czar. What do you consider your favorite just pickup game to kill some time? And if you had to go up against one other person, because you said you don't play fair, what would that be?
Okay, so my perfect time waster game is going to be some roguelike game, maybe Binding of Isaac, maybe Slay the Spire or something like that. Just kind of a nice mind-numbing game. If I'm really gonna play multiplayer competitively, I'm gonna do something like Left 4 Dead or Evolve when that was actually a thing.
That was a very fun game.
It really was. I really like the aspect of 1v many.
So like Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. The new Killer Clowns game is coming out. That's going to be awesome.
I have been waiting for that for so long.
Yes.
They teased like the sequel to that, and I was so ready, and then just nothing.
Evolve was so cool too.
It really
Evolve,
was.
and if you don't know this, Evolve, one person was basically just a giant monster, and there was like four dudes who were just like little guys, like trying to kill this giant monster, and you as the monster had to do a whole bunch of things to evolve your powers to get stronger so that you could compete against them, because at the beginning you're just getting slapped around and you're running around, but after you go through like, I don't know, 10 minutes, like they're running from you and you're coming to get them, and it was a lot of fun. Definitely Dead by Daylight-esque.
I really like the meta in those because it's emphasizes on strategy. So like, for example, with Evolve, you've got one guy who is a support who is going to give everyone shields. You've got one guy who's going to trap the monster so it can't get away. And then you've got a guy who's just going to hit hard on the damage.
Oh, you're not just sitting there just pushing buttons. There's actually some kind of thought behind it.
Oh, it's first-person shooter.
But that's what I mean. Like, there's
yourself around the world.
Sometimes people don't realize behind these games, it's keeping your mind stimulated and keeping you thinking. Just not the normal everyday
problem solving.
1 + 1. Like sometimes you got to think outside the box to get the answer. Charles, what is one of your favorite go-to games that you just like to veg out? And I only ask this because, like, I mean, we had your teammate. Now you can let her know if you want, but Key Lime said that hers was. Do you remember
League of Legends?
No. Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
That was her. That was her
outsource.
That was her. If she's looking to waste some time, and that was hers. And of course, she talked League of Legends.
It's a good time waster game. Animal Crossing
got us through COVID.
It did.
I'm just saying, like, you can throw a lot of hours at Animal Crossing and just feel okay.
Like time. You did something. Yeah. What's yours, Charles?
That's a tough one, honestly, because it used to be just Minecraft. You know, because it was something I could do on my Xbox, just build stuff and just. Feel like I can do something, but honestly, I play BioShock. I replay the franchise like all the time.
Okay,
I love BioShock.
Okay, all right.
So good.
BioShock's a hell of a game.
I've 100%ed all 3 games like 100 times.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'm still waiting for the 4th one. It's been delayed like 7 times? Been like 10 years.
You might be waiting a while.
Well, hey, if you want to get a little bit more BioShock in, try Prey. Prey is like BioShock in space.
I've seen that before.
That was the old Prey on
No,
Xbox?
the like 2016 remake or something like that.
The old Prey on Xbox, you were Native American.
That was
got,
also
like,
a lot of
sucked
fun.
up into space, and you were fighting against aliens, and things got big, and there was portals. It was like Portal mixed with
like I thought it was like a supernatural type game, right? Prey?
Yeah, it had some supernatural type elements in it, but it was like all stemming from the aliens that abducted you.
Right.
And there were weird spots. You would like go through a door, and suddenly you're like standing there, and you're on like what you looks like a moon, and you're like, oh, what's this? And then an enemy just walks by, and he's like monstrous, and you're like, what? And then you realize that you've just been shrunk down onto this little device. And then when you get out, you're like killing that guy and all this other stuff. It's wild. It's a very cool game. Old game. Very old game.
Yeah. That was like 07 or something like that.
Okay. All right. Back then. Well, we have to ask Czar. I'll start with you. I've already asked good old Kilk here how he got his. How did you get your gamer tag, and how are you known for Czar?
So my gamer tag came all the way back from RuneScape when I was in like 3rd grade or something like that. I had been hacked several times and lost so many accounts that I just decided to come up with the coolest name I could think of at the time. And I was obsessed with Z's, and so Czar was that name. And then I just kept using it. It was just convenient to not think of anything else. And eventually I became like the only Czar, and there were numbers after other people's gamer tags, but
it's always nice to be the original.
Yeah.
That's the most sad thing when you go to create your gamer tag on, and everything that you have is taken. So then you have to be like Kilk 123.
That's why you just got to get out there and claim.
Got to get there early.
You got to get there
early.
Right.
I did with that. The only problem I've had with this gamer tag is everyone asks if I'm Russian, and it has nothing to do with that.
That makes sense.
It was just a cool name.
It's what stuck. All right, Toland, how did you get that gamer tag, and what does it mean to you?
I know it's probably going to be a lame answer, but it's just I'm trying to think. Have any of you guys played Destiny?
Yes.
Yes.
You know Toland the Shattered?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I kind of just picked that. It sounded cool, but most of my usernames are kind of just like stemming from my Xbox One Ski Blue 650. I got that like from the beginning. I just stuck with it, never changed it.
Okay.
Is that one of those that Xbox gave you?
Yep.
It just gave you the random gamer tag and it stuck with you. I love it.
I just stuck with it. My favorite color was blue, and I just made 65 my lucky number.
Nice.
All right. Then I have to ask, how many groups have you been a part of to where you've had to change your gamer tag? Obviously, yours is KCP, Kilk, any of you. Because I could tell you, I had about 3 as far as the different abbreviations before. I used to be Killer Merc. The last one was GST for Guerrilla Style Tactics, and then it was Killer Merc. Did you have any that you grew up or that you knew of, Czar, that you remember having to do, or were you one that just left it with the Czar?
I honestly just left it with the Czar. I actually changed my Xbox gamer tag for the first time ever and just changed it to the Salty Czar.
Okay.
If I have to make a different gamer tag when I go into something and then it's not going to be Kilk, it's Relic Vandalheart. And I don't know why. It's just something that stuck with me when I was a little kid.
All right.
I know the Vandalheart side of it came from the old PlayStation game, Vandal Hearts.
Okay.
And which was like a turn-based, you had the grid and you moved your guys around.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A lot like Final Fantasy Tactics style.
Yeah.
But you've never had to do anything like you do with KCP. Like obviously on your Twitter, it's KCP.
It's KCP_Kilk on my Twitter. My other tags, I'm old, so it's like X-Kilk. I'm one of those people who put an X in front of their name.
If I put the X, it counts.
If otherwise, it's like Kilk 567. It's just my usual go-to. Normally, it's not taken. Don't take it. Anybody? Anything. I got lucky enough on Kick to get Kilk straight across. I had the original Kilk name on Xbox. That's been long lost.
Yeah.
And I think on Twitch now, I think it's just Kilk 567, or it could be KCP Kilk. I don't know. It's one of those two.
Well, I know many people ask, they're like, well, how come you do esports? Why would you even talk to esports? I used to game all the time. I told a few of them, one of the first things, I was one of the first beta testers for Xbox to where you had a t-shirt with your name across the back.
That's awesome.
They gave you all the games that you needed to play. And that was the first game was the little Micro Machines racing.
I remember those games.
Yeah.
Those were so fun.
And stuff like that. But obviously I grew older. My kids got older. So it just made me harder to enjoy. But to see where gaming is today from 20 years ago, I mean, even before COVID, it's a blessing to see that the opportunities are there. Now that you've had the opportunity, what's your memory or what's the thing that you take away from Mage to hopefully get you ready for the JUCO season? Because I know you guys are starting that up
this week.
Oh boy, his schedule's on.
I don't know if Overwatch happens this week, but our first game started this week.
You got Charles all sweating over here. He's like,
no, I'm not nervous, honestly. I'm honestly, I know this may sound like I'm not taking it serious, but it's just a game. I mean,
yeah.
I take it very seriously. Like, when it comes to effort, like, try your best, show people you care.
Yes,
that's all you really can do.
He's in the GC almost every day.
What'd you take from Mage, and what do you think it helped you get ready, prepared for?
It gave me a really good look at kind of just the competition, because it was either it was like Overwatch, like literally you either roll them or they roll you. That's kind of just what happened. Like, I think our last game was like kind of fair a little bit, like it was kind of an actual fight, but honestly we just got to improve as a team. Our DPS right now kind of just are trying to figure out what their main is right now. We're trying to learn actual comps, like I forgot what team it was, but all they did was have a Mei wall me off, and just they picked me off, and it's like, we got to pick that up. We got to start doing that.
I saw Getziga pick that up too. He would play Mei, and then he would wall off the tank, and suddenly, like, that was it. Like, it was over for him. They have nobody to heal them. The whole team just focuses them, and they're dead. And then when you're down 4v5 in Overwatch, that's it. You can't fight the other team.
And
it's just not possible.
Well, especially if it's your tank. I mean,
oh yeah, no, I was gonna say that, because now that it is 5v5, when I mess up as a tank, it's so much easier to notice, because during one of our games, like, I wouldn't get picked, but they would get a lucky shot on our DPS, and I can figure out, like, oh, did I not protect them? Was I up too far? Was I this? Was I that?
So a little analyzing. your first time coaching on that aspect of Mage. What did you learn, and how does that go into your guys' season?
I was up on stage with you guys when you guys played our own team, and I was up there for Bellevue as well. Shout out to Bellevue for coming to Mage. They're top there. I think the preseason rankings came out, and they're 12th in the nation.
I was wondering what they were doing there.
And make sure to check out that Twitter video of their coach. He's really telling you what the opportunities are out there for you.
David's a great grinder when it comes to finding young talent, for sure. It was interesting because I don't coach Overwatch. I'm not our Overwatch coach. Our Overwatch coach is actually on the team. He's a player coach. He's one of our supports. So when you guys were up there against the B team, it was me and Lego standing up there, acting like we're doing stuff. But in reality, for me, I didn't watch so much of your gameplay as I did our DPS. And between the games, I would sit there and talk to them. You guys are focusing different targets. You're not putting the same DPS out. Like, make sure that those calls out are going. If you guys need to talk amongst yourself as the DPS, just do so. One of the biggest things that you can do in esports is small talk. And what small talk does is it allows you're just sitting there saying what you're doing. Hey, I'm pushing left. I'm shooting this guy. I've done 12 damage. I'm rotating back. I'm here. And if all 5 people are doing that, you just kind of naturally learn in your team environment what everybody's doing, where they're all at, and it gets you better at communication. The biggest thing that hurts a lot of teams is their communication. They don't talk enough. They're not telling each other where they're at. I try to instill this on our Rocket League guys too, because, we'll go through a whole game and they'll may have, 6 words have come out of their mouth. And I'm like, guys, there's 5 minutes there. You guys were talking for 10 seconds of it. So like for you guys, I'd never listened to your comms, but it would be really cool to see like what your call outs are like.
Is the comms something that is recorded on the Discord where you can go back, or?
I can set it to record, but usually we have software on the PCs that record the whole interaction.
That way you can honestly get them to feel what the communication should be when you hear someone. And obviously being a tank, there's got to be a lot of communication of your direction so they can follow, but then also so you can resort back and use it as examples, because there's nothing best. It's kind of like with football. The video don't lie, right?
Right.
The video don't lie.
Especially because, when you're watching football film, it's like a set angle. You just look at it, and maybe if they're good enough, they'll follow the ball. In Overwatch, you can literally like go into the game.
Yeah.
3D free cam, like you can fly around. It's like flying around the stadium, watching what you did. Where
imagine if you could do that in football. Imagine if you could take the cameras there. Imagine if there was just camera angles all around the thing, and you could do a 3D rotation of what
and you could see what
doing.
That quarterback's eyes are doing. For sure, that would.
Yeah. Like if a college football player had a GoPro, like everyone had a GoPro on their helmet, like that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be wild.
It's probably coming. I'm almost guaranteeing.
I believe there's some NBA teams out there that have been testing technology in their stadiums where it's basically just cameras all the way around, and it's recording everything. Like, this guy takes 2 dribbles and half a step back before he does X. When you start learning people's tendencies and what they're doing, you suddenly just start beating them because you know exactly what's coming.
You know what's coming.
And that's another big thing in esports, knowing the other team's tendencies, especially in fighting games.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. That's all they're doing is testing each other the entire time until they can figure out what your tendencies are. If I throw a jab, is your reaction this button? Okay, your reaction's that button. I know what to expect next time. I'm going to counter that. On their level, like you said, being able to review tapes is huge.
Yeah, because one of the biggest parts about Overwatch is kind of like the devs, the new devs that got in are trying to say they don't want it to be like hard counter or rock, paper, scissors, but it's rock, paper, scissors. Like certain characters.
It has to be. That's just the nature of the game.
That's what it is. So like if I play Roadhog a lot, which is kind of like a no shield, kind of just like I take the damage, then I can heal myself. If they go Ana, which is someone that can sleep me while I'm like trying to heal, or anti me while I'm trying to heal, completely countered me, I probably should swap off. And if someone knows I play Roadhog, they can just practice Ana for like a week before our game
and get it down to it.
And that's something that we need to talk about as well, is the amount of hours that you put in, because we talked about the addiction side of it, and there is a video game addiction out there. But I think what some people also need to realize is that it's not necessarily an addiction if you're playing this game for 8 hours a day. Now, I say that from a professional standpoint. if you're a professional esports athlete, if you are not putting in those hours, somebody else is.
And you could tell.
Yeah.
You're going to see it.
And you will see it.
Yeah.
It happens at LANs a lot. It happens at major events. You see guys come out on Twitter later on after their events, and they're like, oh, I wish I would have put in more hours. And all this. Well, the hours are there.
Guess
We
who
all
did
still
put in
got the same
hours?
24 hours in a day.
Right.
Yeah.
They're all there. And I will say that if you are not putting in the hours, and when I say putting in the hours, I don't mean like just hopping on the game and just casually having fun and doing it. I mean putting in the work, sitting there for like in Rocket League. Let's talk Rocket League real quick on that option, because that's the big game that I come from. If you're not sitting in free play working on your mechanics, if you're not
Oh, you mean free
reviewing.
play where it's not?
No, it's just you and the ball.
Just you and the ball. Weird.
And you're just working on your mechanics, trying to get those touches through the air, and working on your resets or wave dashes or half flips. Like, those are all things you have to have. On the FPS side, if you're not in aim labs grinding your aim, you're just missing out. And if you're not reviewing your gameplay, you're missing out. Just because we say 8 hours a day on the game doesn't mean you're on the game for 8 hours. You need to be reviewing your games. Hey, we lost this game. Let me go back and review that 15-minute match and see why we lost it. Is there anything I could have done differently?
There's always one thing you can learn from it.
Right.
Yep.
How
Doesn't
many
mean the
hours do you
outcome
think
would've
you put in?
Per day?
Just on an average.
On an average, I mean, honestly, like when I play Overwatch, I work my absolute hardest. So I don't really have to think too much about like, is it this small detail? Is it this small detail? When I mess up, like, it's obvious. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Like, if I waste an ult, that's obvious. Or if I waste cooldowns, that's obvious. If I'm not with my team, that's obvious. For tank players, it's a lot more obvious when we mess up. Like, when it comes to DPS, when I was playing like Torbjorn or something, I can work on my turret placement. I can work on just aiming properly, how the bullets fire, like what the patch notes are. When I'm tank, it's like, how do I properly protect my team, or how do I cause pressure properly? There's not little mechanics we have. It's like big mechanics just done well.
Yeah, the little mechanics are things like crosshair placement. Like, if you know this team's, and it's a much bigger in games like Valorant and CSGO, where that the team has to come around this corner.
They're coming.
I need to make sure my crosshair's here, anticipating that the headshot's coming here. If you're moving around the map, a lot of players have a tendency to move around the map with their crosshair down. They're just like running.
Got him.
No, you need to be moving, because if I come around that corner and my crosshair's up here and yours is down here, you have to look up to start shooting me in the legs and up, whereas mine's already right on your face.
That half a second make all the difference.
Yeah, esports are played in milliseconds.
And that's a big difference between a lot of games in Overwatch, because ever since I made it 5v5, it's a lot more fast paced. Like, it's a lot more quick decision making and trying to conserve your ultimates and cooldowns. If you play like Rainbow Six Siege, which is what I play sometimes, complete opposite. You're literally holding angles, camping, like, and it's
you're sitting there like
when
this.
Camping is a necessary strategy.
I was
admitting it.
When I was just say, like, if you camp in Call of Duty, like, I hate you, but like if you're doing a Rainbow Six, it's a necessity, because it's just how you play. Like, you're holding an angle, you see like a pixel of a door frame.
Yeah,
when only one or two bullets in the
mag
in those hits you and you're dead. It's a lot different than like in Apex and Halo and Overwatch, where the time to kill in those are, a second and a half to 2 seconds versus
health packs.
One shot. Yeah.
Like,
well, Czar, you got to come out to Mage 2023. What did you take from it, and what are you looking to? Obviously, we have a few other things we could possibly do in the future when it comes to Mage 2024. Hopefully, be bigger, but also some other local venues that we can check out.
Yeah. Well, speaking on that note, through my podcast, we've been doing a few competitions of our own. So at the Hurrdat Sports Bar, probably in February or January, we're going to be doing the Winter Wonder Smash, which is just kind of a freestyle, fun competition for Smash players. Very family friendly, but we do have some competition. We had a trophy last year and some good prizes for that. So definitely the Hurrdat Sports Bar is a perfect venue that's going to be popping up with esports in the future. As far as my takeaways from Mage, it just made me excited to be a gamer. Like, I want to go to more of these competitions.
Yes.
I want to talk with all of these people because I haven't, it very rarely am I surrounded by just literally everyone around me playing some kind of video game and wanting to talk about it.
Yeah, and esports players and gamers are generally pretty introverted. And like you said, there's still a little bit of a stigma sometimes. And it happens to me even sometimes. Someone's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I work in esports." Like and I should be like, "Oh, I work in esports," and
with a little
Like,
with a little exclamation mark.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well, yeah, it's because it's like we're in the Olympics, right? Like we have.
I believe in the last Olympics they did do some esports stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, like give it time, obviously, but like I feel like it's mostly just there's just waiting.
Yeah, there's people out there like esports is not real sports, and it's like,
I just say jump on. You either jump on or jump out, and you're gonna miss the bus if you don't jump on.
Yeah, give it 5 years. Esports is going to be in the limelight. Like, you'll probably see it on ESPN.
Yeah, no, because I mean, after Marvel made all those MCU movies, everyone's a comic book fan apparently.
Yeah, everyone's all of a sudden comics.
Crawled out of their caves. I'm a big comic book guy. It's like.
It's always the nerds that make things cool.
Come
That's
on,
right.
man.
That's right.
Well, once again, this is a Wired Access podcast, Hurrdat production. I greatly appreciate the hospitality of Iowa Western Community College and their esports program for allowing myself and the Game T podcast, JP and Zard, both to be out there, have some fun. Check out those interviews we did, but also here's one last one. We're going to get you out on this. This is Albie Fresh. He was one that we met down there. He's a coach for Buena Vista College. He was an esports player, but he hosts one of the biggest in the area and one of the big ones, Smash Brothers, out in Davenport, Iowa. Check it out. He's going to talk about it and give you the details. Be on the lookout December 2nd and 3rd, Davenport, Iowa, Honeypot 6. We'll see you. Go ahead. Tell us about your event coming up December 2nd and 3rd. How can people find you? How can people find the event? We want to get this esports to continue to grow. The only way is by the knowledge. What do you got?
All right, so not only am I the director, I'm also the lead event organizer for Honeypot 6. So this is in its 6th iteration, and this is the biggest one yet, because we're changing it from a 1-day to a 2-day national. So it's a C-tier event that we brought in 400 and something people last time. We're hoping to hit maybe 600, 700, 800 with y'all's help. So December 2nd and 3rd, we have Smash Bros, Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Melee, Brawl, HDR, so many games for you guys to come out to. And not only that, we have a collegiate crew battles for Smash Ultimate. So if you're a college looking to come out, hit me up at albifresh_ on Twitter, albifresh on Discord, and you can find me there. Oh, it's in Davenport, Iowa. Let me not forget where it's at. Davenport, Iowa, December 2nd and 3rd, guys. I would love to see everyone there, colleges, and people who just want to play Smash or any fighting games alike. So I hope to see y'all there.